So in this chapter, we're going to explore the different aspects of climate change. And hopefully by this time, you know the features of the atmosphere and the characteristics of all the air pollutants. So in all the contents I listed here in this slide, my emphasis will be Earth is a greenhouse planet. So I need you to understand why Earth is a greenhouse planet. And we are going to go through the geological evidence. Now the global warming is a serious issue, and the scientific knowledge and evidence why it's getting worse and worse. And my other emphasis is the sources and the impacts of principal greenhouse gases, right? We need to understand what are the components contributing to this problem. And of course, we need to understand the consequence of climate change and as humans, what we did to address the climate change. So the Earth's temperature is determined by several factors. Earth's distance from the sun, changes in the energy output of the sun, and the presence of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And of course, atmosphere is consisting of a few major gases like nitrogen, oxygen, and 1% is a mixture of other gases like carbon dioxide, methane, several other gases. Although the percentage is very small, their effects are tremendous. So look at this surface of the Earth, and we see the Earth and we see atmosphere, and we see reflection arrows here on the surface of the Earth and on this transparent roof. I will call it a transparent roof because our greenhouse gases are floating over here. So we receive the energy from the sun, the surface of the Earth, and then the energy will be reflected by the surface, and some of them will be absorbed by especially water, right? And then most of them will go back to the space. With this roof, with those heat-trapping gases, the heat will be greatly retained to the surface of the Earth. And those transparent roof consisted most of the greenhouse gases. So because the effect is similar to what happens in the greenhouse, these gases are called greenhouse gases, and the warming that occurs because their presence is called the greenhouse effect. So Earth is a greenhouse planet. Carbon dioxide is greenhouse gas. Although the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is small, its effect is significant. On the other side, we need this greenhouse gas if it's in a natural percentage. We need it to warm up the surface of the Earth and maintain the warm temperature of the atmosphere. If we don't have carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, our temperature on the surface of the Earth will drop below zero. And that is not livable either. But too much of it will greatly warm up the planet. That is harmful also. So although the phases of global warming and the climate change are sometimes used interchangeably, they are really different aspects of the same problem. So when I ask you why the habitats of the polar bear is disappearing, a lot of people put climate change. That's not an accurate term. Accurate term is global warming, because climate change also refers to many other changes, because some area of the Earth is becoming colder, and some areas is becoming hotter. Some area is more wet and some area drier. So climate change is a sum of all the changes. And when we talk about polar bear, we talk about ice melting. We need to especially point out that is a global warming. That's why you lose points. in the take-home test one. So this is the scientific evidence. A long time ago, even Canada, the area of Canada is covered by those ice caps. And even some of the United States, nowadays those ice caps disappeared already. So that is a significant scientific evidence. Overall, the globe is warming. And this is scientific data. If we look at the year 1880 and several years ago, we can see the temperature overall is increasing, especially since 1980s. This is the 1980s, so there's a dramatic increase of the temperature. I adopt a screenshot from the Annenberg Habitable Planet Lesson 12. So this is a scientific data. If we look at the year 1000, this is a carbon dioxide level, and nowadays it's 2020. If we look at the 2000, we can see there's a dramatic increase of carbon dioxide. And if we look back, because this brilliant work, which will be described in this Annenberg Lesson 12, you are going to explore pretty soon. We have data tracing all the way back, long time ago, by scientists exploring the ice cores buried at the top of the mountain for thousands of years. And we see a jump here in the recent years, right? So in the past 50,000 years, even I would say 200,000 years, all the way back, the carbon dioxide level is pretty constant. Until recently, it has a very huge spike here, which proving the carbon dioxide amount is dramatically increasing, which is the reason for the global warming. And I put a picture over here. Those are the ice cores the scientists collected all over the world, in some very dangerous places, like top of some very high mountains, because those ice cores were buried there undisturbed for thousands of years. That's why they collect those samples and freeze them in the cold room. And those data showed that there's a steady increase in the amount of carbon dioxide, and scientists also studied the gas bubbles trapped in glaciers that revealed the carbon dioxide levels. And they compared before the mid 1700, and they confirmed that the carbon dioxide level is increasing. And we also have other scientific evidence, such as satellite photos. We study the migration behaviors of those animals, and we have ocean studies of CO2. And all those scientific evidence point to carbon dioxide, which is the reason for global warming. And the other evidence here I listed is changes in growing seasons, the retreat of glaciers and the thickness of ice sheets, effects of carbon dioxide elevation in photosynthesis, and wind patterns, ocean currents, effects of particles from natural and human activities, and sea level measurements, frequency and the strength of tropical storms. All these bring the problem of global warming to us. And those are strong evidence our climate is changing. And I put some pictures here. This is repetitive knowledge from the previous slides. We study every aspect of ecosystem, and all the research point to the climate change. So there are 4 groups of very important greenhouse gases. The major players, carbon dioxide and methane, and CFCs and nitrous oxide are minor